Our next session, I'm in a very unique position in the industry because I get to talk to so many of you through the podcast, through our events. As you know, we don't really hire very many professional speakers, less than 5%. What we love to do is explore the stories of real-life entrepreneurs. And one of the most fascinating things that I have learned, even over the past 30 days, I had 3 separate entrepreneurs in this industry tell me that they have a plan to get to $1 billion in sales. Not a wish, not a hope, but a literal plan. 2 of them shared it with me. And I thought, what an incredible industry we live in that has this kind of potential for folks to realize their dreams. Well, the next crew that are coming up to join us here on stage are one of the most ambitious distributors I know. And Caleb Gilbertson and Travis Veit with Imprint Engine, some of you might be familiar with. When Travis and Caleb started Imprint Engine, little did they know that companies like Uber, GitHub, Bumble, Red Bull, and many, many more A-list brands would be on their client roster. They opened a new logistics center in Dublin, Ireland, to expand into Europe. The Imprint Engine team achieved 250% revenue growth in 3 years and added nearly 60 employees just last year alone. So welcome to the stage, Caleb Gilbertson and Travis Veit. Thank you, buddy. Last night we were at speaker's dinner, and I asked them about the Uber story, and they started to tell me something, and I said, let's save this for tomorrow. I don't even want to know the answer. But you have multiple enterprise clients now, and you started. Let's go ahead and roll this, because Travis, I can't wait to get to the hair on the lower corner there.
He has great flow, does he not?
Right, flow. But last night you said that you landed Uber with a cold email.
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
I mean, honestly, we're just looking for new clients, and I emailed Uber just out of the blue and randomly.
He sent an email to support@uber.com, and he was like, hey, hi, I'm Caleb, we'd like to connect. And at that time, we had a different company that was a platform that was providing e-commerce solutions for a local bar. And so they were like, we should partner with you. And he's like, okay. They wanted to trade Uber credits to be on our platform, so 0 money. And he sets the meeting anyway, and he tells me about it, and he's like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go. And I'm like, well, who makes all their shit? And he's like, well, I'm sure they have somebody. I'm like, well, we're gonna fucking find out. So I show up to the meeting, he's late. I walk into the bar, and at this time, he was the chief technical officer for a company called Renters Warehouse that did later sell for around 25 mil. This motherfucker built it from 8 people to 200 people and grew it, but he didn't own it. And that was the thing. That's how I got him. And so I sit down with this girl. She's 23 years old. She lives in Chicago. She's never been to Minneapolis, but now she's running the market. She knows no one. We know everyone. So we sit down, and I'm like, here's the deal. You don't know what you're doing here. I know what I'm doing here. I will connect you with everybody that I know. I will get you in with the people you need. Like, trust me, I can get you to the next level in this area. And she's like, yeah, okay, that's great. She's like, and she was very standoffish. She's like, well, I have another meeting. And I'm like, all right, well, here's the first lesson. Who are you meeting? She's like, oh, I'm meeting this Eddie guy, and he does this, that, and the other. He's an event coordinator. I'm like, let me tell you something. You're about to leave a meeting with us to go hang out with the secretary of Renters Warehouse. The CTO of Renters Warehouse is about to walk through that door. What meeting do you want? She's like, I think I'm gonna stay. I'm like, I think that's a good idea. So she stayed, and we told her straight up, let us do everything for you here, and we will earn your trust. But in return, what we want is we want to be introduced to different markets. So she said, all right, I can do that. And I mean, literally, we were printing flyers the same day, going and flyering the clubs we were just partying at the night before. We were trading Uber credits. We were doing anything we could to build this relationship with this girl. Her name was Janelle Higgs. We called her JWoww. And so she loved what we did. She trusted us. And then she introduced us, was it Uber, Indiana? Cruz Resendez.
Yeah, Cruz, yeah.
And so then all of a sudden she's like, meet Cruz. Cruz was a fabulous human being, and he's like, oh yeah, I love you guys, this is great. And then he says, you should meet Trisha. She's out of Uber Chicago. Now we're no longer in the small markets. Now we're in the big market. And Trisha likes what we're doing, building rapport. That's what we do. We build rapport, we build trust. And then it fucking blew up. And we were getting emails, and it was
Uber needs Travis, Uber needs Caleb.
Yeah, Uber Germany needs Travis. Uber New York needs Caleb. Uber Taiwan needs Travis. Oh yeah, we'll get it done. Caleb, we need to figure out how to ship to Taiwan. So
yeah, which by the way, Travis's affectionate name for Caleb is Google, right? Because Caleb figures it out. So a little bit, Caleb's sort of the ops engine, I would say, and brain behind the enterprise.
Yep.
Right?
Caleb is wicked smart.
Yeah. So take us back though to those first 6 months. We're talking in revenue the first 6 months. 2012.
Yeah, so we started in July, and we were really just getting started, getting things moving. We did about 60 grand in revenue in that first 6 months.
Okay.
2013 is when we really started going. We did about 400K that year.
Okay. Did you have any idea that someday, you probably did you have any idea that someday you'd be working with such enterprise clients as you are now?
Yeah, he did. But
You have to unlock vision sometimes, and it takes time.
But
I knew what we were going to do. I had to unlock that.
But also, this happens in the room a lot. It's an interesting dynamic because there are a lot of ops folks. Mark and I have noticed that partnerships in the industry, whether it's a formal partnership or whether it's a partnership just in the way you run your business, is you typically have a sales and an ops side of the business. And so, Caleb, one of the most difficult parts of the business has been distribution, fulfillment, kitting, all the things everyone in the room has done post-COVID. But you guys were doing it right before. Not only that, you were shipping to homes before everybody else was because Uber was a client.
Right.
That's the last we'll talk about Uber because we've got more clients to talk about. But you opened an office in Europe. You're now dealing with more and more international clients. What's been the most difficult part of just the complexity around your business model and then especially expanding internationally?
yeah, I mean, the hardest part's probably maintaining the same level of service we have here over there.
Okay.
So, it took us a long time to figure out the supply chain over there, the logistics over there, and ultimately finding good people over there that could work at the same level that we work at.
Time difference sucks.
Yeah, time difference, all that stuff.
You try to get something done in 3 days, and you have an 8-hour leg.
Yeah.
So I jumped ahead of things too. Take us a little bit from those couple of years where you're with Uber, and then you start landing maybe the next client. When did you go, oh my gosh, this is a business model we have now. This is not just we landed Uber, but you started envisioning a more full service operation. When did that start coming clear for you?
Year 5.
Yeah.
Year 5.
Yeah, year 5. It was. I mean, I think we'll maybe get into this, but it was kind of around when Uber started declining in revenue a little bit.
Okay.
And we had to start figuring out other clients that needed the same solutions we were providing to Uber.
Okay. Just so we can provide some context of what your work is like on a day-to-day basis, what was the most challenging project you and your team worked on this past year, and why was it such a challenge? Caleb, go start with you.
Yeah, I mean, the most challenging one I did in last year was, it was for an international client that had about 1,200 employees globally, and it was very important to them that we produced locally in a lot of these countries. So we had to produce in APAC, we had to produce in Europe, we had to produce in the US, and provide a cohesive experience. They wanted the products to be almost identical across the board. So it was coordinating with a lot of different suppliers, a lot of different areas, and then
focusing on the brand integrity.
And all the logistics involved in that. That was a complicated one, specifically because they were adamant that production happened locally in a lot of the markets. So
many of us have stayed away from direct international business. I mean, that's a pretty profound step. We're making partnerships with people in Europe, but you guys are actually planting a flag, and you're going to figure it out. Google is going to figure it out.
I'll try.
Okay.
He'll figure it out.
Travis, how about you? What this most complex project you guys worked on the past year?
Probably go puff back to college.
Yeah, I'd say that was probably the biggest.
We were sitting in a conference room, and we're having a call with them, and they're like, yeah, so we're doing this back to college campaign, and it's going to be 200 universities, and we have 50 to 70 different brand ambassador groups that will be located around these universities, and we are basically going to blanket millions upon millions upon millions of items, 20-some SKUs. And we're like, okay, and when is this all taking place? They're like, everything needs to land in 2 weeks. We're like, really? And this is literally coming in COVID. Like, there's supply chain issues. Like, okay, cool. They're like, can you get it done? For sure. We get off the phone. All right, we need to fucking figure this out. So we're literally just scrambling. And, you know, millions and millions of prints with different variable codes that are going to each region. I mean, we were working with Mike from the company down in Texas, USA Best USA. And the owner, Mike, and I'm like, Mike, I need 50,000 lanyard koozies, and I need white straps instead of black. And he's like, yeah, okay, well, let me make a phone call. And he's like, yeah, here's the problem, though. I can't get it from China. I'm like, great, hold on. I start calling. I'm calling Europe. I'm calling fucking Canada. I'm calling everybody in the U.S. So I find it. I ship it down to him to help get it done. And he's like, okay, then I guess, I'm like, now you have 3 days to assemble these things and get these out the fucking door. And we delivered everything. We're running spreadsheets with their teams. And I mean, it was, thank you, Google.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's plugging in, you know, live tracking data for all these different drop shipments for all the products. And then we get everything delivered and they're like, dude, that was awesome. We're like, oh, thank you. Yeah, it was great. Then they came back for round 2. And it was like, we need everything that you just did, but in a week. And it's like, let's go.
Yeah.
But we got it done.
How's the client? Is it a different topic, kind of, but since you were working with complex clients before COVID, the kitting and the packing, fulfillment, all that stuff, COVID hits. You have a unique perspective on this question. How has the client changed post-COVID?
Yeah, I mean, I think the expectations to be able to handle very dynamic distribution are higher. Like, I mean,
The boxing experience.
the boxing experience, you're having to ship to homes and to offices and timing it all out.
Is that what you mean by dynamic distribution? I like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not just. I mean, it's actually fairly easy if you're just doing one big drop shipment to a bunch of homes, or to an office. But when you're doing it over the course of time, and there's other events involved and all that stuff, so there's just a lot more variables involved in it. So you're having to just coordinate a lot more.
I mean, UPS is. You can use UPS to go to Canada. You can use FedEx to go to Europe. You can use DHL to go to Paraguay. Okay, by the way, DHL, we need to pick up these forms to go to Brazil. Like, I mean, it's so many
especially
working.
globally,
It's figuring out the
you're dealing with
infrastructure,
a lot more variables. So
and that would be the reason that we're going to give a shout out to the VP of Ops, Carl, back there. He's the guy that actually makes all that shit happen. So thank you, Carl. Thank you for making us look good.
Let's talk a little bit about the structure of your business, because we have here in the slide, I loved ideation, design, production management, shipping and fulfillment. Tell me a little bit what we're looking here. You call Imprint Engine an end-to-end platform. What do you mean by that?
I mean, for us, that means really just maintaining as much control as possible of the entire process. So, I mean, ultimately, to provide our customers reliability, we need to have reliable suppliers and reliable people in the house to be able to execute what we need to execute. So, you know, obviously we use a lot of suppliers, but we've been investing a lot into bringing stuff in house just to maintain more control.
So, decorating, embroidery, screen printing. You're obviously drawing a line, though. You're not bringing some manufacturing in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. There's certain things we're not going to buy.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's we invest a lot in technology. We have a pretty big tech team, so even developing different types of web solutions and things like that, we can get really creative, and it's totally custom. So we're not really stuck in the guardrails of using this store platform.
Right. Right.
So that helps significantly.
Travis, I often like to ask distributors, did you set your vision for your business and you knew exactly where you were going, or did your client shape you, or was it some symbiotic relationship between the two? How have the clients that you've attracted shaped who you are today?
Well, dude, we hunt with harpoons. We go for whales. That's how I roll. Yeah. And in order for me to do that, to figure out who the client is that we want and go after them, requires me to find the person that can help me build that and work within their infrastructure.
Okay.
So.
What types of infrastructure changes? Give us an example of what you've had to change inside to accommodate that type of enterprise client.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a lot of different buckets you got to continue to invest in this to accommodate as you scale. But I mean, warehousing and whatnot. I mean, we were in a 2,000 square foot facility. 2 years later, went to 5,000. A year later, went to 12,000. 6 months later, now we're going into 40,000. So those are some of the physical infrastructure changes, but also just from a technology standpoint, you just have a lot more people, a lot more employees to deal with and whatnot. So those are
we are so flexible with our tech where you don't, if somebody comes to us and says, I want this website built this way and I want it to work with this and that, I'm telling you, we are on the front lines of being able, on the tech forefront because of him and our team that we've built where we can build integrations, we can figure it out, we'll find solutions.
I want to pause and say something because there's kind of two postures in the room, right? There's some folks going, yes, this is amazing. And then there might be some folks that are going, okay, what's the real story? You know how when you sometimes peel back the layers and you realize, well, somebody's brother was the buyer at XYZ, that's why they got the account and that kind of. Talking to these guys last night in an internet podcast that we've done before, there actually is no such story. They really did go out and hustle all the business, self-funded organization. I think that's amazing. In fact, last night, what surprised me was that you don't fund client inventory even.
Absolutely.
Which we were all talking about being a hard line in the sand, and that's an easy way to grow top line revenue, but also absolutely use your business.
Yeah.
Some people can do it successfully, but I was really impressed with that. What kinds of decisions do you two wrestle with all the time when it comes to risk, investment, and growth?
I mean, it's every little step we've always taken to that next level, going to more space, hiring 10 more people. It's always nerve-wracking every time. I don't think it ever gets any easier.
So,
but I think we're both just naturally, we're risk takers. We're very comfortable jumping out of the plane and building the parachute on the way down. So.
Yeah, I was out of town. I come back and Caleb's like, we bought a production company. I'm like, oh, that's good.
I want to pause. Do we have some questions right now at this juncture in the interview? Because I think it's important that we not just try to cover everything. Any questions right at the moment? Back at the back. Is that Kirby? Hey, Kirby. Everybody say hi to Kirby. Hey, Kirby, shout it out. Yeah. Wait, were you doing decoration I'll repeat them just for our recording. Yeah. Were you doing decoration all along, or when did you decide to make these kinds of investments?
No, we were not. It was about 2 years ago that we acquired our production company, and that's a scary leap because it's complicated. It's very difficult to do it right. But the reason we did that is, there's a lot of efficiency that we get out of that, and then also the speed and the ability to get really creative. We were fortunate to find a great company that they can do some amazing creative work, and that's probably been the biggest asset about having some of that stuff in-house.
Okay.
Well, you would run into the issue of, we had 4 or 5 go-to decorators throughout the U.S., and it was awesome from a timeline perspective, being able to get stuff 1 or 2 days. But then their busy season impacts our ability to deliver. And I am a big believer in no as an opinion. It's not an answer. And so when we were told no, it was like, fuck that. And so we started talking about we should just own this. And there was this amazing company in Minnesota that Caleb said, I think we should buy them. And then that's when I went out of town and came back and we bought them. So.
Yeah, they were also a great culture fit, which was important for us. I know a lot of distributors that have purchased decorators and it hasn't gone well. Right. We were very intentional about it. We worked really closely with them. Before the acquisition happened, it was probably roughly a 2-year period where we basically acted like we were one company and made sure we're a good fit. And it's been great because they are just they've blended right in with our
we were literally we took over 90% of their production, and then we were like, well, guess what? We're going to continue to grow, and you're going to max out. So why don't we bring you in? Let's do this. Yeah. We've quadrupled the production capacity within that division itself. Yeah. Adding new machines and all the awesome stuff.
Thanks for the context, because sometimes we look at success and see it as an on-off switch, and it's not. That was a slow grow process, but it was a very smart move. Mm-hmm. What other questions do we have just for this moment, or we'll move on to infrastructure back at the back?
Can't hear him.
I missed it. Can you say that again? Somebody shout it out to me up here.
You were asked earlier, how much of your time is great work?
And I'm gonna, so how much of your work is great work for the two of you? And I want to provide a little context because you're dealing with very, very complex business. I asked you last night, Travis, are you able to spend 100% of your, majority of your time just hunting these whales? And the answer may not be, the answer is no, right? Yeah. Because of the complexity and how hard this business is. But I'll let you answer. Caleb, go first, and then we'll let Travis.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of a hard question to answer. I'd like to think all my work's great work, but no, I mean, I think you kind of like the 80-20 rule, like that's the rule that I live by. And I think, you're going to do a lot of stuff that means not that much, and you're going to have the stuff that makes a big impact that really adds a lot of the value.
Yeah. Travis?
To our point last night when we were talking was, do you just go out and hunt whales and do all that? Wish I could. But it is so imperative that we are providing great service and great solutions for our clients that you have to stay ingrained in the processes. It doesn't matter, once you get them on, you just don't walk away. No, you stay with them. You focus, you make sure that they get what they need, and you have to give a shit. And so we stay ingrained in that, and that has slowed our growth because if I could take Google's mind and just go do the tech thing, and if I could just go and talk with enterprise clients every day, that'd be awesome. But if we go and do that, we would be leaving the core of what we set out to do, which was to change something based on relationships and provide quality work.
Yeah, and
quality work is necessary.
We're a small business too, so when there's something that needs to get done and we don't have an employee to do it, guess who gets to do it?
Speaking of, how many employees now?
I think we're 65 here, and then we have 4 in Europe.
Okay. Something really interesting that I love this slide when I saw it, when you sent it to me first, because you get the impression that that you're out there hunting whales all the time, but what you're actually doing to grow these clients is focusing on solutions and not sales. A two-part question is, can you elaborate on what that means for both of you? And then we're going to get back to what your infrastructure looks like to accommodate this.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we're looking for new customers, we're not looking to sell a product. We're always going into the conversation in a mindset of how do we really help you execute on all your needs related to printing, distribution, swag, whatever it is. So, I mean, I'm a big believer of you get what you put out in the world, and that's kind of our mentality when we're looking for customers, or those customers that really need all of us, or all the solutions we provide, not just, I just need a one-off job. I even tell new leads when they come in, you're going to get the most value out of our organization if you use this for everything, not just for one little piece of.
But that's hard. Clients do pigeonhole you in what you're good at or not. We talked about that. But Travis, let me ask it this way. You said there was this big distinction between successful salespeople in this business who make this, it's a huge leap, but this leap from solution provider, I will take care of the client, I will do everything in the world that I can for them, to this incredible leap of I'm going to find solutions that my client's looking for. Can you elaborate on that? Because that gets to this part of it too, right?
Yeah, it's when somebody's reaching out for a thing, it doesn't mean that's the only thing. And when you actually sit down, give a shit, listen, ask the right questions, you find out that you can make them more efficient with the other solutions you offer, but you just need to get them up, you need to get them to understand, you need to bring it all together. And so one of the things that I take pride in is when I sit down with someone, I find out what do you truly need. Don't tell me you want this right now. Where is it that you're going? And let me see how many things I can help you with. And that's not a sales pitch, it's a solutions pitch, because I'm making them more efficient. I will make my company better, and I will make them better simultaneously.
When we produce our events like SKU Camp, we'll poll. You are a fascinating audience for this massive industry because some of the most progressive leaders sit in this very room. So when we poll folks, it's really interesting insight. When we polled folks for SKU Camp next fall, we asked them what they're struggling with the most. And I always put the topics in a chart to see what everyone is struggling with the most. It was shocking to me that virtually everyone was struggling with scaling, restructuring their business to support clients that require more and more services. So that's the setup for my question is, you restructured your business to where your team works in pods. Can you explain a little bit about how that's made you more efficient and helped service these enterprise clients?
Yeah, I mean, the goal with that was just to try to create more mind share around these big accounts, because it's very difficult to get a new salesperson up to speed with that account after you've built a relationship with them over 5 years or so. So having these pods work together, it's a little bit less of like one point of contact sales, which a lot of distributors are used to. And it just allows the team to really work together a little bit more. It also helps with real-time coaching and mentorship, which is really big in this business, because it's hard to teach people the skills. So, it's definitely helped, get rid of information silos and get people to work together a little bit better. And ultimately, it also allows you to scale the client up a little bit faster, because you can insert another person and have a team of people get them up to speed, versus if you have one person work with a client trying to train another person while they're trying to do everything else in their day, it's really hard it takes a long time. So,
do you align clients like similar services? Like, how do you decide this client's going to work with this team, this pod?
Yeah, so I mean, we have teams that are better at certain things than others. So, there's definitely some matchmaking that happens naturally. But I think, it'd be great if they could all do the exact same thing. But I think that's going to take some time to build the technology and the processes to really maintain the same experience across the board with every team.
Did you have to revise comp structures and everything?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Multiple times. It's not easy.
It's the hardest part,
yeah,
right? It's
by
one
far.
of the hardest parts.
Yep.
Okay.
But we have a great team that's been really flexible, so we're very thankful for that.
Okay. Travis, before we move on to the next topic, anything else you want to add to that?
Let's roll.
Like Google. All right. Questions at this point? Okay. As you look at the short...
This guy out here.
What? I missed it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
We are very fortunate that, we've kept as much of the money as possible in the business. We started with nothing, and we just kept bootstrapping and reinvesting in the business. So fortunately for us, we've been able to self-fund since we started.
Yeah, we bet the company multiple times.
We didn't pay ourselves very much for the first 5 or 6 years, and just kept putting it back in.
Big contracts.
Yeah. So.
No insurance. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that's 5 years of, all right, do we actually pay ourselves
pretty much, yeah,
more this time? Or do we, because that's a critical question for a lot of people in the room is, all right, what percentage of this do I invest in the business? So that leads us to a good long-term discussion here. Talk to us about the next 12 months. How do you view the next 12 months? What are your biggest priorities as a company right now? So I went to Caleb, I went to your desk, and we sat down, and I saw what was hot and on fire, and what's happening in the next quarter. What does that look like for you?
Right now it's just, kicking off the new year, we push really hard to, review all of our clients and have good meetings with them and really figure out what they're doing.
So you did that as a year-end process?
We're doing it right now.
Okay.
So, it's part of it's a great way to get information out of your customers, have more of a conversation of, get them to tell you what they're going to do versus kind of reactively hope that they're going to spend money.
Right.
And I think, the goal for this year is to get a little bit back to the basics. With everything that's going on in the economy too, there's a lot of uncertainty. So we're kind of in the mode of let's go back to bootstrap mode. Let's be really conservative. Let's hustle really hard. Let's find big accounts. And it's worked for us so far, so we'll continue to do that.
Where are you putting investments?
Everywhere. People, technology, infrastructure.
Everywhere.
Yeah. We're in a good spot. We've been investing a lot in the last few years, and now at this year, it's going to be more about investing into sales and marketing to support
Europe
and the stuff we've done. And Europe's probably one of the bigger areas that we're going to be growing.
And you're growing in Europe.
Yeah.
And Travis, talk to me a little bit about the next 3 to 5 year plan. Do you guys sit down and actually have that kind of vision forward, or you're like, we're just doing everything we can to take care of it?
You don't think Google has a 5-year plan?
Yeah. No, I can speak to that a little bit. We've had our Europe facility for a while, and the team is newer, and so we're just about going into our second year with them. I think it's going to be really interesting because we have a lot of shared interests in terms of sharing customers and whatnot. We work very closely together. So
okay.
Yeah.
Many in the room are in the situation that you're in. Business is good. We're cautiously optimistic. We're watching what's happening with the economy. Growth is happening. A lot of folks are growing. Investment risks keep getting riskier because client complexity keeps growing. How do you stay motivated in such high pressure business with such high pressure stakes? Travis, start with you, then we'll go to Caleb.
We thrive under pressure. It fuels us. You know, that's why we're such good partners. Is that the minute stakes get hot, it's like, let's go. And like when we did that campaign I was telling you about with Go Puff, and backs against the wall, all this stuff, I saw him light up because it was like, this is a challenge. So for us, like, bring it on. We like the challenge. We like working in high pressure because we know that we're going to figure it out. You know, like, that's our goal, is to always provide a solution. No is an opinion.
Do you have a moment where you're rattled, though? Like, that's a daily occurrence for some of us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Caleb. Do you have a moment where you're rattled and you're like, you know, this is tougher than I thought? What?
Yeah, I mean, I've been rattled, I guess.
I think every day.
For him, yeah. He gets rattled.
I mean, but in this business especially, it's complicated. Things go wrong all the time. You have to be able to rebound quickly and be, you know, if you can't take a loss and get over it and keep moving forward really quickly, you're gonna not thrive very
That's the thing.
fast. So,
if we do not get a contract that I think we should have earned, does it rattle me? It fucking pisses me off.
Okay.
And what I do in return is then, all right, well, then we're gonna go and we're gonna get that back. And we're gonna go and double that. And so like it feeds me.
Yeah. Yeah. When you lose something, it sucks, but yeah, like he said, it just makes me just work 10 times harder to get it back better.
We'll take a few more questions, but I have one last one. As you may have sort of answered already, Caleb,
Sure.
How would you encourage folks that are in a similar role as you in the room? Because what you just said all had to do with resilience. We've all been really strong, resilient people over the past couple of years. But how would you encourage those in the room that are wanting to grow, struggling to grow, and they're dealing with the complexities that you are?
I mean, find a good partner. That helps. You know, it can get lonely out there if you're by yourself.
Yeah.
So it's really helpful. Even if it's not a business partner, a mentor, somebody to bounce ideas off, it can be extremely valuable. We use a operating system called EOS that really helps us. It's like,
How many people are using EOS? Raise your hands.
yeah. All right.
Okay.
I highly recommend looking into that because it's basically like having a business therapist, and you know, they will help you navigate very complicated things with your people, with everything. So
And your partnership too, right?
yeah,
EOS
everything,
keeps
yeah.
you both on
Oh yeah,
track with
it
that.
helps you create a vision. It helps get your team on the same page. I'm a huge fan of it. We wouldn't be here without it. So that would be my advice to anybody that's
And
trying to
it
grow.
creates a good hierarchy, you know, because I mean, the whole EOS, the way it's built is that you're going to have, this is how it all funnels down.
Yeah.
And then you can take what you're learning from them and apply it and put it into your company. Like, he's the guy here, well, he's the CEO. That's how the EOS system flows with our company.
Travis, how would you encourage folks in the room? You're a very positive, proactive person. How would you encourage people in the room heading into 2023?
Go for it. Go for it. Pick up the phone. This is what I will tell everyone. Do not send emails. Do not wait for something to happen. Pick up the fucking phone. Call someone. Talk to them. Tell them what you can do.
Questions. We have 2 minutes left for a few questions. Danny. Hi, Danny.
You guys are clearly very different people. It's really interesting to talk about partnership with Bobby a little bit. And I'm curious if you can share, just be really honest and vulnerable and share with us from each other's opinions. Maybe it's the same thing, but what is your biggest struggle? You mentioned EOS, but I'm trying to work on that struggle in partnership.
Struggle in the partnership specifically, Danny?
Specifically the partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I often
The struggle.
exactly.
The struggle was when I met him, I knew, like I saw fucking brilliance, and he didn't understand it. And so it took half a decade. Like, that's when I grabbed him. I'm like, I'm gonna make the money, you're gonna run the company. And he's like, okay. And he didn't understand how brilliant he is. And so unlocking that over the years, that was troublesome. And it was literally like a big brother, little brother relationship. I'm 5 years older, and he was in his mid-20s when I met him, and it's like getting him to mature and see what I was trying to do, and for him to understand what he is capable of. And then it was basically like 5 years in, it just fucking, boom, he understood. And he walked into my office.
I think what Danny might be asking is, how do you work with Travis?
Yeah.
Right?
I have very thick skin. No, I mean, partnerships can be really difficult, and we're very fortunate that it's been extremely rare where we don't agree on an investment we're going to do, or some sort of initiative. So we've been very lucky that we just kind of are on the same page with a lot of stuff.
My job is not to tell him not to do something. I support him in the decisions he makes, whether they're good or bad. We've burned some money, we've learned, but it's not my job to sit there and say you shouldn't have done that.
When we want a whale, I'm like, Trav, don't
go get the whale.
Don't take no. get the count, and it usually works.
I love it. Let's leave on this: embrace chaos and discomfort. How about a round of applause for these guys for sharing this story?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you both very much. Stay for a minute.
Yeah.
Right now, we're going to go for a networking break, so we'll be back here at 11:20. So we'll have a great time. Thank you guys so much.